Office workers of Reddit, what's the most cringe-worthy reply all you've seen? Two of the partners at my old firm were having a not very discreet affair. Both were married to other people. Partner A was in charge of the summer associate program and sent an email around the firm with information on the summers, names, schools, etc. Who would be mentors for who, dates of events, etc. Partner B replied all to a 500+ person law firm, attorneys, paralegals, secretaries, everybody, I'm going to pork you so hard later. It was hilarious for several reasons, including his ultra seductive use of the word pork. I used to work at a law firm, and one day an email went out to everyone, about 40 people, that was about a specific case, and had very little relevance to my job position, so I ignored it. A few minutes later I got another email from different attorney with a snarky response. Well, an argument started between these two attorneys, still replying all to the office, and after about 6 or so emails a third attorney wrote, yeah well my dad can beat up your dad. By the way, you have been sending this to the whole office. I was working in an office during the Iraq war and I get an email from some random private. Y'all motherfuckers need to shut the hell up. Puzzled by such a blatant attack, I checked who this guy was and who he sent it to. I want to say he sent it to everyone in every command in Iraq, Afghanistan, and a few other places. Some say that private is still doing push-ups to this day. Dude mass mailed one of those great American gas out things to all 6,000+ employees. The seer did a reply all saying something like Exxon is one of our biggest clients, and using company resources for your own political agenda is against company policy. About 12 years ago, I worked in a small office and a co-worker was telling a boring story to the whole office. My boss went to email me to complain. I was his sounding board, but accidentally replied all to another company-wide email. His message sent to the entire company? I wished Donna would have emailed me this story, so I could delete it. She saw the email a few minutes later, threw keyboard up in the air, grabbed her purse, and ran out of the office. My boss had to profusely apologize the next day. A co-worker of mine was trying to motivate their sales office, and was saying to get your hands dirty, and if we had any difficulties closing a sale the girls should shake their little asses and close the sale. Reached Arcia. She wasn't there long. Kinda of the same thing but different. I used to work for a company that was a vendor for Abercrombie & Fitch. I would send emails to different people that work at Abercrombie every day. One day I sent a request to someone at the company and got an out of office reply that basically said I'm no longer with her and fuck this shit. Fuck this place. Everyone here sucks. I laughed my ass off for a few minutes then called a buddy that works there. Pretty soon the whole company was sending emails to this account just to read the reply. It took about an hour for their adept to get wind and take it offline. We had this guy from the main office, Pete, who comes up from time to time. He's an arrogant asshole. I decided that I couldn't stand that smug prick within literally 30 seconds of meeting him. Anyway, we had quite a bit of turnover in our department since Pete's last visit, so our boss wanted to schedule a lunch so he could meet everyone. So, his admin sent out a mass email to see who might be interested in lunch on Thursday. I replied back that I wouldn't be coming because I had a conflict, and then I added, plus, Pete's kind of a fuckwit. I hadn't realized that I had hit reply all until I heard the scattered laughter all over our floor. Our boss came over, invited me into a conference room, and said, I'd appreciate it if in the future you'd let everyone decide on their own whether or not Pete is a fuckwit. Thankfully, Pete wasn't on the email. I heard about someone where I worked that meant to send out an email to the whole department, a couple dozen people, to let them know that for their birthday they brought in donuts for everyone. People do this all the time. This guy, however, selected the email list for the whole company instead of the department. They were getting replies from employees in other countries saying things like, well I don't know you, and I can't travel there just for donuts, but happy birthday. Working in the claims department for a huge insurance company, one time a claim handler sent out very personal customer information to the entire company, every single employee including the seer, security staff, building staff, even cleaning staff. So, that's bad enough. But then we have this other guy decide to reply all to that email, asking the other guy why he sent him this message, blissfully unaware that the first guy sent it to everyone in the company. So now the first guy responds, still unaware of what happened, telling the second guy he has no idea how that email went to him. So this email thread goes back and forth, reply all, these two geniuses investigating WTF happened, for like 10 replies. They finally decided it was a computer glitch. IDK how they still have jobs. I'd have fired them, just for not knowing how reply all worked. A guy from my training class got fired for poor performance. He knew for months it was coming. On his last day, before the obligatory this isn't working out meeting, he sent an email to every single person who reports to our worksite. I work for a very large company, so hundreds of people, estimating conservatively, that said nothing more than remember, no one ever expects the Spanish Inquisition. I guess everyone thought it was prudent to hit reply all to send back their confused responses. For hours, my poor inbox was getting flooded by their stupid replies. A design artist at a print shop I worked at 10 years ago, I'll call her Zed, had always been one of those flaky but only just good enough to keep types. She'd create files that looked fine to customers and on screen, but required shitloads of proprietary fuckery to make printable. Zero real technical skill, when it should have been half a job. One day a little after lunch, a company-wide email from Zed to her husband came through where she described waiting with glee for the opportunity to purposely fuck up a big repeat yearly job right before she planned to quit 8 months later. A lot of print jobs are on a yearly cycle with local businesses. This happened in Feb and referred to a $40K job that came around every October. As its relief, I got called in to check what happened, and sure enough Zed's other emails sent on her workstation's email address to her husband described other stupid things she was planning, and referred to one of her husband's friends who worked for a rival print shop. So it was clear it was a bit of sabotage, and probably upcoming poaching. Zed was fired less than an hour after the email was sent. I didn't mention to my bosses that the email to all the staff was sent when I knew Zed was out of the office and had originally been sent before she went to lunch, and originally only to her husband. Our other designer, a quiet mouse type who could actually do the work, had seen the earlier sent emails at other times she needed to use Zed's workstation, and copied/pasted this completely revealing email into a new email to the whole company from Zed's workstation. I just told her later in passing that I got her email about Zed and gave her a thumbs up. We occasionally hire out of temp services during the busy seasons, just to make sure we are adequately covered for everything. We are a decent sized customer service company with over 250 regular employees. This one temp we hired was let go for showing up excessively late 2 days in a row and had only been with us for about 2 weeks. Note, don't do that shit. So he sent a very angry email stuffed to the fucking gills with super colorful language to what he thought was the address reserved for everyone in that specific office's management. The fatal mistake was accidentally using the address that sent it to the entire company, management included, and also the fucking executives way the hell up the ladder in corporate. It's an address that's pretty much reserved for management use, and only for things like policy changes, healthcare enrollment, and etc. Everybody saw this train wreck crash right into this dude's life, and from some of the shit he said, I'd be amazed if he ever found an office job again. Some of the stuff included: management is a bunch of fat bitches with a stick up their ass. Company name, only hires illiterate retards off the street. Miscellaneous insults about specific staff members. Threats to report the company to the BBB and get us shut down. Note that the Better Business Bureau isn't a legal organization. It's basically a review source. Claiming he was the best employee we ever had and that we fucked up big time by firing him. Miscellaneous things about the dumbass supervisors. They're just bullshit all day. Shout out to Methy Becky, not sure what the fuck that's about or who she even is. The email was eventually removed, but not before one of the hiring managers replied and informed him of why he was fired, that he was a temp worker hired through a service and not a full employee in the first place, and that she would be writing an official report and sending a copy of the email to the temp service that referred him. It was all done in this snide as fuck talk down to you tone that this particular person has a well-earned reputation for. Not technically a reply all, but it was fucking terrific and should totally count. We had a rule at my old company, don't you dare ever reply all to a company-wide email. It was a simple rule that got broken a lot. As such, there was zero tolerance for people replying all. People have literally been fired for it. Anyway, one day an employee had his cheese stolen from the fridge, and he decided to send an email to everyone by replying all to a mass email. Employee, to the person who stole my cheese, I will find you, and you will regret what you've done. I saw an opportunity, so I took it. I replied all to his email with Liam Neeson's speech from Taken and replaced daughter with cheese. The seer came by shortly after laughing at my joke. He explained that the employee has just completed a meeting with ours about the email, and that I will have a meeting as well about my reply. He said it was really funny, but that doesn't excuse the rule we have in place. Totally worth it. That email eventually became an inside joke with him, and helped me make friends with our seer. Called him Big Cheese after that. I worked in a very large government complex, and someone once replied all to an email that was sent to the 500 plus employees with the caption, "This guy looks like Reggie lol." The picture was of a large hairy man in a Speedo. I have no idea who Reggie is, but if the caption was accurate then he should consider buying some hair trimmers. When I was in college I worked at a local ISP. One day, out of the blue, the lead sysadmin calls me. "Hey, do you know how to break into a Cobalt rack? I need you to delete an email. Small hosting server. UHH. I could probably figure something out. Worst case I can reboot it and reset the password." Shit. Fuck. Never mind. That'll take too long. Click. A bit confused, I just shrugged and went on with my day. Later I found out the reason for the strange phone call. The customer had been emailing back and forth with the sysadmin and the company owner regarding some technical issue that led to a billing dispute. The sysadmin, having a very short temper, hit reply all without thinking and wrote something along the lines of, "Just because $customer likes to take it up the ass doesn't mean we need to bend over and let him do whatever he wants." He called me to break into the server so that I could delete the email before the customer had a chance to read it. Unfortunately, the customer got the email immediately and received a lot of free hosting services. Just last week, an email was mistakenly sent to over 100,000 people in at least a dozen different countries. After about 45 minutes, there were a couple reply all responses. A decent amount of people replied all saying not to reply all, but didn't realize that the email server was backed up trying to send a few million emails. Some emails took over 10 hours from the time sent for me to receive them. This caused more people to say not to reply all, as they hadn't seen anyone else's response saying so yet. Over the next 12 hours, I and every one of the other 100,000 people received over 180 emails, all having to do with wondering what the original email was, or telling us not to reply all. Over 18 million emails in total. A back of the napkin estimation said it cost the companies tens of thousands of dollars.